Good morning, guys. Welcome to the Liverpool FC Journal. I'm Owen James. This is your Liverpool news update on what is FA Cup third round match day, guys. Look, I prefer it to be a Saturday 3 o'clock. Of course I would. Traditionalist, love an FA Cup game, love an FA Cup tie. But it is what it is, guys. We are playing tonight under the lights at Anfield, which makes it a little bit special. Against Barnsley, a game that realistically we should obviously be putting to bed very, very easily. Obviously, the key question will be how seriously is Arne Slot going to take tonight's game? He certainly hasn't perhaps shown the respect to the cup competitions that he should have done in the past. Barnsley currently sit 17th in League One. Defeat tonight certainly would be a humiliation for our great club if it did come down to it. But look, I think it will be a much changed lineup, and we'll sort of touch on that a little bit in the video. We're also going to talk obviously Conor Bradley. I want to call out certain Arsenal fans as well. I've got to say, you know, I'll talk about that in a minute. I'm just disgusted at them. I'm also going to talk, obviously, the latest on the Marc Guehi with Fabrizio Romano, possibly giving Liverpool a little bit of hope in the Marc Guehi transfer hunt that seems to still be on, obviously, with Manchester City rumoured to be circling. We're going to talk a little bit of that as well in this video. But guys, remember, if you've just found the channel, if you want to help us get bigger, get better, obviously please subscribe to the channel. Help us to keep on growing. Ring the notification bell, then you won't miss out. Look, this channel is free. We'll never charge you for content. We'll bring you daily content. We'll bring you a podcast. We'll bring you news, opinions, views. We're going to get live streams going soon as well. And we're not going to charge you. We're not going to have pay tiers. We're not going to say you've got to, you know, get this tier to get this to get this program, or you've got to get this tier to get this video, or you've got to pay for this. We're not going to do that. That's not the way we work, and we never will work in that way. I honestly believe that fans should never be charged for content on their team. Right, and I think channels that do it are disgraceful. Anyway, look, let's talk a little bit about this man here, Hugo Ekitike. Obviously, Hugo missed the Arsenal game the other night. Big loss. I think, you know, my honest opinion, guys, is had we played that game with Hugo Ekitike up the top, I honestly think we win that game. Honestly do. Not impressed by Arsenal in the slightest. We were the better team on the night. I think Ekitike plays, his sharpness, his hunger, his desire to get forward and score goals. We probably win that game. Anyway, the manager has been talking about Hugo ahead of tonight's game at Anfield in this FA Cup third round. And he's talked about the fact that obviously that he is a doubt, but that they are doing all they can to get him fit for tonight's game. It comes as a bit of a surprise to me. I've got to say, I didn't think this would be a situation. I honestly thought they wouldn't play Ekitike tonight and would rest him for the league game. But, you know, he's missed the last couple of games. I think he may get an hour tonight or 45 minutes or whatever. He says Arne Slot did say he will do everything to ensure that Hugo Ekitike is fit to feature against Barnsley. You know, he didn't say whether that will be from the start or whether that will be as a substitute, but he did say that he will be fit to feature, or hopes to have him fit to feature. He is going to make changes. Slot, we know that. Obviously, Isak is out. We know that Salah is at AFCON still, and obviously wish Egypt all the best in their semi-finals. Jadon Dan's obviously still injured as well, which is a big one. Look, I've got to say, I feel massively for poor Jadon. A lad who seems to have no luck with injury, pretty much similar to Conor Bradley. You've got to kind of ask what is going wrong with our youth players to get so injured all the time. Endo as well will not be available for tonight's game either. Slot did say, Hugo, we are not 100% sure, but we will do everything to have him available on Monday. He did talk a bit more about the fitness situation of certain players in his pre-match presser the other day. But, you know, look, I think Hugo is a big one. If Hugo is fit for tonight and we can get 45 minutes out of him, I think it's a massive help, and it will, I think, really help in terms of getting us through to that fourth round. Fourth round, of course, that Manchester United won't be part of, which I think is absolutely hilarious. Hugo, he said, obviously, I think that I'm correct that Wata might start to train one of these days, but he has been out for 2 months now. That is, of course, different from being out for 1 week. Isak is not going to be back yet, and Salah plays tomorrow. That's obviously the Ivory Coast AFCON game. Dan's is not fit enough. He's not even training. He's one of the players that got a stress fracture because he was young and a bit overtrained. So apparently that is down to overtraining. He says that is why we are so careful with Rio and Gamoa, that he is 2 days a week off the pitch. Is that possible? We do not have the same situation with him, but Jadon is definitely not available in the short term. So still obviously injury issues at the club. which obviously is a concern and a worry. And like I said, if we can have Hugo back tonight, I think it will be a big, big boost. Obviously, tragic news yesterday, that Conor Bradley will be out for the season with that knee injury that he sustained against Arsenal. I've got to say, Arsenal fans, when it comes to Conor Bradley, some of you have been fantastic, don't get me wrong, and wished him all the best in his recovery and all that. I'll stand by the fact that Gabriel Martinelli is a classless scumbag. But Arsenal fans, I've deleted comments of Arsenal fans laughing at this news, celebrating this news. I mean, honestly, Arsenal fans, you are the biggest bunch of deluded, classless individuals on planet Earth. And when Manchester United exist, that is one hell of an achievement. It really is. Perhaps it's the only thing you can win. And look, as much as I hate Manchester City, I really hope they win the league this season. I really, really hope they win the league this season. I'd rather anyone but Arsenal win the league this season. I'd love Arsenal to finish this season trophyless. I just can't stand the club or their fans. They used to have class. They used to be a top class club. They have become the biggest bunch of arseholes on planet Earth. But look, in terms of Conor Bradley, we wish him all the best in his recovery, out for the season. It's a big loss for Conor. Conor's a great player. He's a very, very good footballer. It's just a huge concern how much he gets injured and how long he is out for. This is his second spell on the sidelines this season, and you've got to kind of hope that Arne and the medical team can kind of find some solution to what is going wrong with his body for him to get so injured as many times as he does. What can we do to kind of get him over that? I certainly don't hope that this guy's, goes the same way as sort of like a Jim Beglin, for example, who obviously had to finish his career early at Liverpool because of injuries. Someone, a number of players obviously in football league history and football history have had to go through situations where their careers have come to an early conclusion due to injury. And I'm certainly hoping that Conor isn't one of those. And we do wish Conor all the very best in his recovery. Obviously news about Marc Guehi. Look, I was gutted when Liverpool missed out on Marc Guehi in the summer. I think, had he been a Liverpool player from the start of the season, I do think there would have been a difference, a marked difference, particularly obviously around the defensive area. And maybe Slot wouldn't have had to kind of change tactics and become a little bit more defensive to shore up those defensive woes and concerns that we have. Marc is a top class defender, and it's not a surprise that so many clubs are interested in him all across Europe. Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Man City, reportedly Arsenal. I think if he goes to Arsenal, that is a massive error. Does he want to sit on the bench for the rest of his career? Which I think is what he would do if he went to Arsenal. Who's he displacing? Saliba and Gabriel. I can't see either of those being displaced. And, Mosquera and Norgard, Mosquera, I think it's Norgard, are not bad players either. It might not be Norgard, I don't really care. Damsgaard, I don't care. Some twat in a red and white shirt. But there you go. So look, I think, that is a big concern. Now, obviously Liverpool, I think, were hoping that they could get through to the summer without having to try and sign him. But this is what Fabrizio Romano has been saying on his podcast, obviously Italian transfer guru Fabrizio Romano. I can tell you that on Marc Guehi, the real intention has always been to move in on the summer on a free transfer, with Liverpool really pushing and Arsenal calling because Arteta is a big fan. Like I said, Arteta may be a fan, but Mark, if you go to Arsenal, you're going to be on the bench. I just don't get it, why you'd go there. These two clubs are insisting, and Bayern also have some meetings for Guehi, but now Upamecano is expected to sign a new contract. Manchester City have been clear, they want to try, they want to make important proposal, and they want to go strong for Marc Guehi in the January transfer window. They will try next week, which is this week. If the player will accept, City are prepared to make an agreement with Crystal Palace. They don't see any problems with that, but it's only the player, and his plan has always been to leave in the summer on a free. Let's see what happens. So a kind of mixed message there from Fabrizio. So, I think the message that you can kind of take as a positive, as a Liverpool fan from this one, is that Marc Guehi seems to be intent on moving in the summer. I think that's always been his intention. I personally believe that he will look to... He's wanting to stay at Palace for the season. He doesn't want to put into jeopardy his chances of travelling with Thomas Tuchel's England squad in the summer for the World Cup. I think his concern is if he moves club, to Manchester City, to Liverpool, to Arsenal, whatever, he's not going to get guaranteed first-team football straight off, and that could sort of, with the England's depth at centre-back, put him in a position where he might not be the England starting centre-back in the World Cup, which is something that he doesn't want. I think also Marc has a tremendous sense of loyalty as well. We've kind of seen that in how he's, after the move to Liverpool fell through, he didn't like throw his toys out the pram, go on strike, kick off. He just got his head down, carried on playing, and has been fantastic for Palace this season. So I think, you've got to kind of take that as an encouragement that Marc is a loyal guy, and his intention has always kind of been to stay there. I think the situation comes that if Manchester City do come in with a rather large bid and offer him large wages, is he going to be tempted? Look, he is going to probably start at Manchester City if he goes there because of Diaz and Guardiola being out. If City were to offer Palace 35 to 40 million, they're probably going to go, yeah, we want to take that because, look, at the end of the day, they don't want to lose out. They don't want to lose out on money, do they? So I do think there is a real chance that could possibly be a situation where Guehi is tested on that one. It's whether the player wants to move. I'm hoping that this report is true, that it is a situation where that Marc doesn't want to move, that he does want to wait till the summer, and that gives us a greater opportunity of bringing him to the club in the summer. Certainly, sort of more encouraging news there than of late, where it's kind of been very much a Marc Guehi to Manchester City sort of procession, hasn't it? Guys, I'd love to know your thoughts on that one. Right, that is it for this morning, obviously. We'll be back, obviously, with a live at 11, guys, at 11 o'clock this morning. So if you've missed the video and you're catching this in the evening, it was earlier on. Really confusing. There you go. Anyway, if you've enjoyed the content, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you on the next one.